Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. It is January 30th. With this is the IC Topic Chats. I'm recovering. I am recovering. I'm We're covering again the topic of from solo to firm. This is a firm topic that actually it's been more than a year. It was September 2023, and we've done a couple different firm topics. I did something similar um, in February last year with some surveys. So I combined two different presentations, and I'm going to go through those today. Um, an interesting thing here. I've got this. Doesn't want to advance. Well, press that button. How about that? I've got this firm readiness survey that I created about a year and a half ago, and I went back and looked at it. I'm like, this is genius. I forgot I even did it. So you should take a look at this. Let me see if I can get I can show you what this looks like. I've got too many windows open. Anybody ever have that problem? I always have that problem. Here? Nope, it's not there. It's right here. Okay, so I'm going to move this over into the viewing window. So this survey is just kind of a big brainstorm I did with another individual, thinking about what it's like to have a firm and what are those things you're going to be challenged with. And none of this was all done in September 2023. And so what you do is you kind of just, this is the personal thing. I don't actually care about your data. I have the data somewhere. I don't think I've ever downloaded them. I don't look at them. This is really meant to be a tool for you to think about these things. So that the link that you saw on the other slide, you'll see it again in just a second. Anyway, it's a number of things about grit and organization and community, business mindset. This is not research based. This is just like a concentrated brainstorm. So that's what you're seeing here. What happens when you finish it? It looks like this. And these were random. Don't think these are real answers. This was just me putting numbers down real quickly. And this is what it looks like. And this is for your own reflection, right? Am I ready for this? And you'll see in several spots I say, remember, this is not a real instrument. This is just my thoughts put down. And then if you put down your email address, it'll email to you and it'll look like this. So anyway, that's what that little firm readiness survey is. If you're at all interested in it, it might be a way for you to think reflectively on if this is something you want to do. All right. Pressing buttons. So here are my thoughts, my fears, my questions and feelings that came to me when I was thinking about starting a firm. And I think these are pretty, if you're thinking about this is probably where you are too. I mean, how do I do it? When's that time when I hire a person? What does that look like? How much money do I need to make? What's an employee handbook? And what do you need to include in it? What's health insurance? How do you get this stuff? How do I start retirement? How much do I pay people? Should I just work with subcontractors and forget the whole deal? And I know a lot of you guys probably think you've probably been down this path, and so many of our peers here have said, yeah, that's what I want to do. Will I ever make a profit? Will I only be working to keep jobs for my staff? You may feel like that. If you don't set things up correctly, that may be where you're at. I have a great thing. Why would I want to mess with this? Completely legitimate question. And then you're going to ask yourself ultimately, and I'm actually having this exact same series of thoughts and I've been doing it for 5 years with, should we buy a building? And I go through all these series. I mean, obviously not about retirement, health insurance, but should I do that? But these were the things that I was thinking about when I was thinking about expanding from one person to many people. And here's the rest of my story. So back in 2011, I went solo. I had a full-time job and did the whole solo activity. And the question I was asking then is, what am I doing? How do I do this? And so I spent a handful of years. Come on now, my slides don't want to advance. There we go. Trying to develop a routine. I created reports that I could reuse the structure of and reformulate. I created surveys and I figured out how to develop surveys that I could use for several different clients. I created client bases. I started working within similar types of projects and developing relationships with people. I effectively developed a niche. After about 8 or 9 years, I got to the point where I was saying, is this all there is? Because I was still a one-person operation. And to me personally, I was growing tired of one-person program evaluation. Solopreneurship, I guess is what some people call it. And that was when I said, I need to hire somebody and I need to work with somebody else, or I need to quit this and go back into the university life where I was before. So it was in 2019 when I brought on my first coworker, my first teammate, and let's just say things went pretty well. Then I went back to that original question of what am I doing? Usually I put an expletive in between um, what and am. What the heck am I doing? And having to figure these things out again. So we were all the things that you saw before, figuring out employee handbooks and time off and time tracking. We started investing really in time tracking in 2019 and 2020. And I've talked about that before. Totally glad I did it. So today, um, my life partner joined me as my business partner. She always was, but fully within the firm. And we've rebranded and rethought, and we're doing a lot of kind of internal organizational community building, uh, concentrated on equity within our firm of making sure we're doing what's right for all of our folks. And that's where we are today. So in all these reflections and these thoughts about this, I'd like to start with who should not start a firm. And there's 10 items here. You probably should have kind of the ball rolling. You should know what your niche is. And yes, I said niche with a hard CH. If you're under the age of 45, you probably say niche. So go with your bad self with your niche. I call it niche. You should make sure you have a niche. There's something happening here that where you've got clients calling out of the blue or people who are calling you out of the blue. You've got momentum. So you probably shouldn't start a firm until you've got that thing going where you understand that new projects are going to come and you're not sure where and you trust the process. That's how I see it as a successful niche. You need to make sure you're not self-conscious and insecure because ultimately you're going to be creating things and handing them off and trusting other people with those projects, with those ideas, with those reports. You've got to trust that the people you bring in are going to be competent and that they will work for you, with you, for the bigger idea. If you are a pessimist, if you don't think things are going to go well in your life, I'm not even sure why you're here, but ultimately you need to be an optimist to make this work. You have to believe good things will happen to you. If you have uncontrollable responsibilities in your life, if you're trying to finish your PhD and you're under the gun to get your dissertation done, if you have a sick mother, you should not start a firm. Now, it may be a good reason to have a firm down the road, and I absolutely believe because I lead a firm, I have the ability to spend more time with my mother who's not well because of the firm. But if I were thinking about starting one, this would not be the time for me to do it. If you have if you're going through a divorce, if you have crazy child situations, whatever, if you have uncontrollable responsibilities, this is probably not a good time to start a firm. And time management. If you just can't keep it together, this is like, are you an adult? If you haven't figured out how to adult yet, probably not ready to start a firm. See last response. You need to like working with people. I know this sounds like a crazy thing, and most of you are probably pretty good at working with people, but you need to like working with people on a day-to-day basis where you're communicating with them and you're relating to them and connecting with them as human beings. There are certainly some great data analysts, program evaluators who are give me the data, get out of my way, don't talk to me, I'm going to write you a report, folks. More power to you. You should love that. You should go with your bad self, but you're probably not going to be successful at starting a firm if you don't like working with people because that's the business. You also need to believe in investing in others because if you invest in others, they're going to invest their time in you and great things are going to happen. If you're a greedy ogre, and I'm going to get into some of the finance stuff in just a little bit, but there's colleagues of mine, or I know of former colleagues of mine who are no longer in the business of owning firms, who would take a quarter of the revenue off of every project, personal profit before, and they would give 75% of the rest of the project for the firm to do it. And that's not a sustainable model. I mean, for most projects, unless you are just way overpricing yourself and you've got everybody believing you're just the greatest thing ever, mostly that's not going to work. You need to be thinking about your revenue in relation to salaries and making sure you understand what your overall expenses are. And then hypothetically, you should be at a point where you can give back bonuses and then take bonuses, but thinking about all those things in relation to one another. If this is all about you making money at the expense of others working for you, you should not start a firm. And I added this one today because of what we're seeing right now in the greater grants world within the federal government. You need to be ready to handle those unexpected negative surprises that come. Now, I'll be the first one to say on Tuesday, I was balled up on my bed with earplugs in, kind of in a fetal position, hoping it would all go away. Um, but that's part of the game because I mean, honestly, I have responsibility for a lot of people. My partner and I both do. And we have to roll with the punches and trust the process. And I trust the process, and I believe we're going to be fine. Things I've learned, um, your evaluation projects need to include overhead, and there's a lot more overhead with the firm. Overhead includes health insurance, includes all the other insurance that you never knew you needed, like workers' compensation, insurance, um, all the different softwares that you never knew you needed. A lot of overhead there. You ultimately will need to have some sort of office space, or you're going to have more expenses with regards to meeting one another somewhere at some point. Even if you are all remote, you're going to want to come together for meetings somewhere at a library, but that's going to cost you money. If you have a large profit and loss, meaning you're generating a lot of revenue, that doesn't mean you have a large take home. That goes back to the greedy ogre statement from before. Um, you will eventually have more margin, meaning with time, your margins grow, you will have greater profit at some point. But you can't just assume you have a big budget. That means you have a lot of money you get to take home. So, our budget's quite a bit bigger than it was once upon a day, but that's not big. And I don't get to go off and buy, Mercedes Benzes and boats because of that. I live we do fine, but trust me, it's not. I don't get to keep all that money because most of it's going to payroll. When you have a larger staff, you need to start working towards larger projects. You can't live off the $5,000 projects. You will figure that out. If you haven't figured that out yet, you have to start working towards larger projects. It's super important because you can't and this I heard a story of a colleague recently who works for a firm, and she has 20 projects and they're all like $5,000, $10,000 projects. They're all that size. She doesn't have any time. She's working her tail off. It's not a pretty situation. You've got to start expanding those projects. And that's where you have to come in and say, no, I can't do that. I can't do that project. If you want to give me $10,000, I need $18,000. You need to have that rationale for how you talk to people about why the project should be bigger. And when they say, I'm sorry, all I have is 10, you need to have the grit to say, well, then you should find somebody else. And actually, you should probably connect with other people in this group today and pass those on to other people who are just getting started because they'll appreciate that. I think you get the idea of this 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 equals 50. The idea is we believe, and I'm seeing it, we are better as a team. There's a lot of thoughts, there's a lot of ways we can play off each other. There's skills that other people have on our team that I don't have, and there's skills I can take and I can support with other people, just my background understanding for how these things work. A team requires a lot of emotional intelligence. You have to let go. You can't be the greedy ogre. You have to be ready to let your ideas, your projects, your babies, hand them off to people and know they're going to do their best, and they will likely fail, and it will frustrate you, and you have to know that that's going to happen, and you have to trust them to pick it up and solve it. And if you don't do that, you're just not going to be successful as a firm owner. You have to give space for people to make their own mistakes and support them when it happens and not be mad, even though it will definitely frustrate you. But you have to know that this is just like being a parent, right? You can't control everything. And if you try to, you are going to drive yourself nuts. Love your professional associations. Particularly, we have the masterminds groups. Make sure you're connecting with your masterminds groups. So it's a great way to learn more about what other people are doing. Wear a seatbelt. I think this is really important. This is actually a general statement. You got to take care of yourself. Obviously, wear a seatbelt, and I hope most of you do that. Not all of you do that. But you need to eat well, you need to sleep well, you need to take care of yourself so that you can come fully prepared, because every day is a roller coaster. I said this on Monday to my daughter when I was dropping her off at school. I said, it's a Monday and I know what's on my schedule, but I don't know what I'm going to be doing today. And I'm sure it's going to be crazy. Little did I know what this week would look like. I was prepared for it though. I do believe with owning a firm, you do develop equity, right? So the firm is sustainable, it's this thing, and that provides me the security to know that I can do the things I want to do, that I have more flexibility just personally in life, and it helps me sleep at night, which is what you need to do. So last year, annually, in fact, I just earlier I was on a meeting with a bunch of other firm owners, and we have a retreat for people who have 5 or more people. And so I put out a quick and dirty survey to all those firm directors, those owners of firms, and I asked them these questions. And I'm going to go through some of their answers. I think this is pretty interesting. What do you wish you knew before you started? That you're going to connect with you need to connect with others. Don't go too fast. You need to have a policies so that you can clarify where you are with your folks. I didn't realize I'd be getting. Let's see. I wish I understood I'd spend the next few years getting a trial by fire MBA, and that I didn't have to choose between running the business and doing evaluation work. That's actually probably where I should have started this entire conversation. If you love doing evaluation work and all you want to do is evaluation work, you shouldn't start a firm, because you're going to find you're spending more time doing the firm administrative stuff than you are on the evaluation work. Now you can make room for that, but I don't do that much evaluation work. Full disclosure. Okay, where'd you go? Let's keep going. There we go. Oh, you're gonna have stress. What's your favorite part of owning a firm? My team. And as I'm looking at the comments, I've got the comments hidden from you, but I can see them on the side over here. It says team, 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 all the way down. I love being my own boss and seeing what I have created. I love serving others in my community, providing jobs. I love to work with the work we get to do in the community and building off one another's ideas. Ultimately, the favorite part is that you get these higher highs. What's your least favorite part? None of this can come as a surprise to you, right? Managing others. There's a lot, and when we get together with other firm owners, and we're going to do this in a couple weeks, we're going to hear this over and over again, because it is tough. Supervising others can be a lot, because you got to let go. You're trying to guide people in the right direction. There are times where you hope people go in one direction and they go in the wrong direction. You just got to wait for them to figure it out. It's hard. Telling people things they don't want to hear. And even while you have a firm and the 1 + 1 + 1 = 50, you oftentimes do feel alone, because you can't be part of the team truly, because you have to be the owner, the director, whatever you want to call yourself, the principal. You need to figure out your workload balance, but it's probably not going to be where you want it to be at the very beginning. It's going to take it. My workload balance was very unpretty for 2021, 2022. It was an ugly place. You have lower lows. So you have higher highs, but with that, you get the lower lows. I did this a year and a half ago, or a year ago. how did I spend my time for the previous year? So this would have been on 2023. I only spent a quarter of my time on active client work. 24% really on everything else was other things like administration, business development, and marketing. And then professional development, which is, working with you guys, spent some time writing and strategy and planning. It's probably pretty accurate to where I am today. I spent about a quarter of my time on active client work. So if you love working with evaluation in your clients, you should not do this because you'll spend 75% of your time doing other stuff, not evaluation. At least that's been my experience. Other people have other experiences. When we asked these folks if they would do it again, they said 100% yes. So, but now, of course, these are people who figured it out. I didn't survey the people whose firms didn't go well, because there are a handful of those people too. So, final question is, what advice would you give for a trusted colleague starting a firm? Be patient, narrow your niche, make sure people understand who you are. You can't try and do everything for everybody. Get a business coach, grow your staff and surround yourself with experts. Find peers, and that's back on that conversation about masterminds, which I believe there's an open call for masterminds through the Independent Consulting Topical Interest Group, or what we call the ICTIG. Additional thoughts, make sure you engage in our professional group, the ICTIG. These folks wrote, it was an incredible, humbling experience. If you need to fire somebody, don't wait. Hire quicker. Think about the life you want to have. And then somebody wrote, buckle up. It's quite the ride. So here's my last 5.5 reasons to start a firm. The opportunity to make change in your community of practice. Developing relationships, having relationships, growing, deepening relationships. Having folks with you, having a staff, having coworkers results in professional development because you're learning from one another. And when you start a firm, it's the opportunity to mentor others. I believe it gives you security and equity. And on a funny end, it does provide you with the opportunity for more company swag. So, upcoming sessions, here we go. We've got next week, I'm going to go again. I'm going to do the core topic on niche. That's right, I said niche. Valentine's Day, I'm going to do that one too. Love what you do what you love. I switched, I don't want to make sure you guys see this, February 20th and February 27th. We just switched this morning. We're going to move the subcontracting fair back a week. So you should look for something in all the different ways I'm going to communicate with you so that you can sign up for the subcontracting fair, which is a time when you can talk about yourself for 2 minutes and we can all learn who you are and use that as an opportunity to connect with you. Previous to that, on February 20th, we're going to be talking about proposals with the TIG chairs. Kayla and Lily got to me today. They wanted to move it up so that they have plenty of time to connect with people and talk to them about how to prepare proposals for the American Evaluation Association, AEA, conference that will be in November, right? Whatever it is. Yes, it's November. And then you can see the rest of the sessions. With that, I'm going to stop the share. Hello. And I'm going to stop the recording. Everybody who's here, stick around. We're going to chat about this and other things. And then but everybody who's on YouTube, we'll see you later.